So
Well, this was meant to happen in not April, sorry, October, and then things happened. But we're here now, better late than never. So coming into this, obviously my mum knows you from the shop and that.
she does, yeah.
And I was aware of your family's appearance on the TV.
Yep.
And at the time when I was starting this up, I was just thinking of things that I hadn't really covered yet, or people I hadn't spoken to in different situations and stuff. So I guess kind of coming into it, I've not went back and watched the programs or anything, just so I think the conversation will be better rather than me watching a TV program and making assumptions and stuff like that.
Yeah, no bother.
So before we go into it, for the people or the benefit of the people that do not know who you are and how you are, I don't want to say notorious, that seems a bit sinister saying it like that, but well known in the local area.
So, I'm Ben Sullivan. I am dad to the Sullivan family. We moved up to Lossiemouth about 10 years ago now. Yeah, we're coming up to 10 years actually. So 10 years ago now, we moved up to here, moved up to Lossie. That was all to do with my job. I'm still currently in the RAF. It was a posting that was offered to us, and we thought, you know what, we'll give it a shot. We are quite coastal people. Me and my wife Zoe were born in Cornwall. So we love the coast. We love everything to do with the beach, and we were living at the time near Oxford, which is as far inland as you could possibly get in the UK. So we decided, let's go for it. Let's move up to Lossiemouth, and that's how we became here. That's how we moved here. Mm-hmm. So, how am I notorious? How are we notorious? Let's get into that. We moved up with 7 children. Mm-hmm. Since then, we've now got 11. Mm-hmm. I was trying to do the maths in my head.
With a 12th on the way?
With baby number 12 on the way. Thank you very much. So Viacom approached us. That was the first thing that happened. So 2020, Viacom approached us. They saw us on Instagram. It was at a time where friends of ours had suggested, why don't we do social media and YouTube and all that kind of thing? And we thought to ourselves, do you know what? Why not? I mean, I wasn't making or editing videos, but what I was doing was taking video of the kids just storing it on a hard drive.
For orthodox kind of things like family kind of memories and stuff like that.
Just the normal, the normal kind of family pics and family videos that you would take, little snapshots. To be honest with you, they're all shaky and you can't watch them anyway. And now after a few years of doing YouTube, it's like, oh my god. But anyway, they're memories. So Zoe and I said to each other, why don't we give it a shot? And the first thing we did was create the Facebook page. Mm-hmm. We've got the Sullivan Family Facebook page, and we started to do YouTube. And that was back in 2018.
Also for a few years now.
Yeah, so we've been going. Was it 2018? Yeah, it was. No, sorry, we've been going for 3 years. I'm getting confused. So 2019.
2019.
So we've been going for about 3 years now. So friends of ours suggested, why don't we do that? So we did that, and we started to make YouTube videos. And anybody that does YouTube will know you kind of, it's a scary
you kind of look at editing software the first time, you're like, this might take a bit of a transitional period. Yeah.
So I started with basically iMovie. I started with iMovie.
Yeah, it's the free one, isn't it? Yeah.
Free iMovie, right? And anybody that knows that does YouTube, you'll go through 1,000 mics. You'll go through DSLR.
It's not the most reliable.
iPhone. You'll try all these different things. And do you know what? In the end of it, what worked for us was iPhone and iMovie. Mm-hmm. And that was after trying lots of different editors and stuff, because we try and keep our videos quite simple. Yeah. In the editing, it's simple. It's kind of docu-style, but it's not, if you know what I mean.
Do you think like people would maybe, I don't want to say see through it because it's not fake, but do you think people would maybe think that, oh, this is becoming like a big production type thing if you had went down that route rather than kind of keeping it more humble, I suppose, I guess the word would be for it?
So when we first started, it would literally take me about 3 or 4 hours sometimes to edit a 5-minute video, right? And what you learn with YouTube is they want to see everything. They want to see the little, we're not professional broadcasters, we're YouTubers, and that's what we do. So they want to see all of it. Mm-hmm. And you soon realise that what you're filming is what people want to see, and you don't need to edit everything out. They just want to see, especially with our following, because they want to watch our family life. They want to watch all the bumps, knocks, the scrapes, everything that goes on in family life, and that's what I've learned along the way, is to make videos and not. And yes, I know in my head what I want to film throughout the day to tell the story of the day, or if Zoe and I are vlogging about a certain subject that is to do with family life, and and we're totally honest as well about what happens in our life. So if we're struggling with something, we'll vlog about that as well. So it's not all. It's a happy channel. It's all about our family, but there are tough times.
Yeah, you have to be real with it,
and we have to talk about that, and we feel like we have to talk about that.
I think social media can be full of that. What's it called? Is it toxic positivity? When it comes across too much rather than actually showing kind of real life in that, and especially in the day and age of where obviously you're a father and have children, and that you see. Children maybe see something on Instagram and it's someone on a yacht or something, and realizing that's not real. You know what I mean? That's like just total kind of just reality TV type stuff, isn't it? It's not
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we're guilty of it, to be honest. When we first started out as parents, you always want to try and keep up with the Joneses, and you're fed this fake image of family life, by Marks and Spencers and everybody else. Everything is bunting and it's amazing. Life is tough sometimes, and financially now, life is going to be a struggle. It's going to be a struggle to pay for energy bills and all this kind of stuff that's coming up. So we've just recently vlogged about that.
The living
cost of living
situation going up. Yeah,
absolutely. And the cost of living now is ridiculous. And yes, I know some people will say to us, well, you kind of manufactured your own life, and you've got a lot of children. Yes, we do, but I mean, we still manage. Don't get me wrong. But this next year is going to be a real struggle. And so we vlog about that. And what we've noticed is there's lots of people out there that are feeling the same way, and they're happy for you to vlog about it. And we get a lot of positive feedback from that.
And I think that's one thing, when I see a lot of times, especially with people that vlog and that, people seem to try and put it down as just like, oh, well, why are you trying to monetize everything? Why are you trying to make everything as some sort of product? But in a way, it is a good tool to get people talking, right? And I think that's where a lot of animosity and aggro comes in, especially in modern day life, where people aren't talking and they just want to attack each other without seeing each other's situations and stuff like that. So I think it is a very authentic way of it getting out there. You mentioned there about people kind of saying you've manufactured your own fate or situation. Do you feel free to tell me not to ask this, but do you ever get any kind of stigma for for what you do and the family that you have?
Yeah, I mean, we've got so. I'll base it. I think I went a bit off piece there because we were talking about why are we notorious. So I'll go back and talk. I'll talk about the media we've done so far.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So it first started off with us being in the newspaper. We got into the newspapers because we've got two sets of twins, years apart, but they've both got the same birthday.
Right, really?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So we've got
Well,
two sets. So basically, there's 4 kids with the same birthday.
Oh wow!
So we started off in, and that was our first taste of media, really. And to be honest with you, that was our first taste of trolls and what trolls are like on media. It's worse in the papers than it is like vlogging or anything.
Yeah.
There just seems to be an open forum for it.
They're a corporate thing, aren't they? They kind of encourage that type of behaviour.
Yes. So following on from that, we worked with Viacom on a Channel 5 production called what was it called again? Me and My 10 Kids.
Yeah, because there was multiple families in this.
That's
and you were I don't want to say one of the segments. You were one of the families they were following.
Yes. But I mean, with Viacom, it is what it is. It was our first taste of being on TV. We're a little bit more experienced now, but it was our first taste of being on TV, and it is a little bit manufactured TV, really. It's kind of we need you to do this because we want to film that. Right? And we didn't realise at the time it does come across as quite fake, and it is. It's still us. It's still our life. It's still what we do. But it was kind of
more controlled from a third party.
You're pushed down that avenue to do this because they want to grab that and grab this and film that. So the second one we did was last year. That was 2021, and that was called 31 Kids and Counting the Pennies, and that was 3 families, including us, and that was a lot better. That was a better production, and we really enjoyed filming it. But unfortunately, it was a one-off. We were hoping it was going to go to a series, but it was a one-off, and that was it really. And we thought, oh, well, that's a shame. But anyway. That's another tick in the box. So we worked. That was for ITV1, and so we'd worked for ITV, so that was cool. The production we're working on now is at this moment in time is being filmed. I can't say too much about it because I'll get my hand slapped. Yeah. But we're working on another production at the moment I almost said it was 4, so I'm not going to say.
Yeah, don't worry. If you had said it, it would have been cut out. Don't worry.
But it's a longer look at 2 families in Scotland, 2 large families in Scotland, and it's a look over a period of 12 months, and they're capturing real life. It's going to be a lovely documentary, and it's everything that they're filming is genuine, and it's us, and it's what we do. There's nothing you're not forced down any avenue. They're not trying to get you to go on holiday and do camping and all this kind of stuff. It's just, they're just following your life. I mean, there's so many things going on this year for us anyway. There's lots to film for them, and yeah, it's a lot more enjoyable. It's a lot more relaxed. And now that we're more experienced, we know what to expect, and we're also doing some filming for them, because they've obviously seen my YouTube and they know what we're capable of. So they're
giving you independent control of the project in some way.
If they can't make it up here to film a certain scenario that we're doing, say it was one of the kids' birthdays or something, then I'll film that as well, and grab some film for them. So that's the media we've been involved in so far, and we're still involved in. We've done a few bits for BBC Scotland as well, a few little bits, but this one we're really looking forward to, and we're allowed to also. They've filmed a lot about our journey on YouTube and what we're doing on YouTube as well. So for us, that's the biggest tick for us, is to be able to tell people, to wave a flag in the air and go, hey, we've got a YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff, and what we're trying to achieve with our YouTube channel as well, which is like you said about monetization and everything. But going back to your question, yes, we do get a little bit of stick sometimes. It tends to be from the same people, who've just taken a disliking to us. There's a certain person that I can't mention, but they pick on large families. Not only to pick on our family, there's
an agenda just in general.
It's a massive agenda, and also we've worked with the same production team that I've worked with the Radford family, which are the biggest family in the UK. They've got their own thing going on with Channel 5 at the moment. They've got this big show going on, but we talk to them quite often, and they've got the same troll. So and what you do is it shouldn't happen.
No,
it shouldn't be allowed to happen, but it does.
It does, yes.
So you either go 2 ways with it. You just bring yourself totally off social media. Let it
affect your life and what you're doing or not.
Yeah. Or you just go 2 fingers up and you carry on with what you're doing, and you just ignore them. And to be honest with you, the latter is better because it winds them up even more, because you're not bothered about it.
I mean, that's what they always say about trolls, and I think it rings true. Is if it wasn't this, it would be something else for that person. Yeah, totally. There's always some really underlying anger with these people that go out of their way to try and make people's lives a misery by posting stuff on the internet or following them about on the internet, so to speak. And like I just said, if it wasn't you, it was going to be someone else, and it wouldn't have had to do with the family. It would have been to do with something else and that. And at the end of the day, you're just trying to make a living like everyone else. Do you know what I mean? And everyone's entitled in their own way to follow that, whichever way they choose, fit. To be honest,
I mean, I feel a bit sorry for them, to be honest, because their lives must be so sad that they feel the need to try and make other people's lives sad, and and if. I just think it's a bit of a sad existence myself. Yeah. I mean, going back to the monetization and everything, that is another. I'm not gonna lie. That is another reason for us to do YouTube and everything. Is that we just want to enjoy life a bit more. Financially, don't get me wrong. We are over the moon with what we've got, with the children we have and everything else. But to maybe ease the stress of the financial situation for us would be amazing. And
you just have strains like any other family that's going through this. And if you brought this kind of platform to someone with something they were doing, whether it be music or whatever it may be, something in that realm, they would take it with both hands. You know what I mean? I don't understand the kind of unique, kind of cynical view that people try to take of this type of thing. Like obviously, like I've said, I've not went back and watched the programs, or I've consciously not went to watch the YouTube channel because I don't want to everyone can get their own kind of prejudices and that in their mind from watching someone without actually speaking to the person, you know?
Totally. I totally agree with you there as well. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I don't think people appreciate what goes into having a YouTube channel or doing social media. It is a full-time job.
Yeah.
And at the moment, we're having to put that around my normal job and on our life. I mean, we've managed to get to a point now where it's become part of our life, to the point where the children enjoy it, we enjoy it, and it's something now that I can film throughout the day. I know exactly what I want to get in my mind, so that by the end of the day, I've got exactly what I want. We've wrapped up the video, and I can get it edited within an hour and uploaded onto YouTube. We've got to that point now just by learning along the way and learning off different YouTubers and picking up tips and hints here and there. And then just the one thing that people do say is to niche yourself. Just be yourself. And that's the biggest thing that I learned, was to stop trying to copy other people. And to just be ourselves on YouTube and do the videos that we want to do, as a family, and it's paying off at the moment. It's we're building and everything's going in the right direction. So yeah.
And I think everyone that's whether it be TikTok now that's came up recently, or YouTube or Spotify and all these kind of different platforms. Like when I first started this, and I'm like nowhere near the level that you're at, but when I first started this up, and maybe people were liking the podcast Facebook page and that, I'd find myself getting a bit of a dopamine effect.
Yeah.
And I had to face myself in the mirror for a second, because I never thought I was like that. But it's just human nature. You do enjoy, because it's a compliment in a way, someone liking what you're doing and stuff like that. And it's always going to make you feel good. And then I had to kind of bring myself back and look, that's not why I'm doing this at all. I was someone that used to really struggle with speaking to people, and now I kind of find it funny that I do that for the first time.
It's ironic.
And then post it on the internet. So I kind of think it's helping me in some sort of way of life of overcoming a barrier that was once there, but you make a good point in the sense of when you're talking about, it's not just 10 minutes and you're done. When we had the multicam feature, I've kind of worked out a bit of a different way for it now, but there was one where I would literally be watching these things back in 1, 2, 1, 2 to get the camera to go back and forth.
Yep.
So that could be from anything from an hour and a half to 2 hours sometimes. Then you've got to put some kind of intro in, an effect, and then cutting it all off, and then tying it all up, putting it together, and then waiting for it to export. And it can be a 3-hour process sometimes, and some people just would not have that willing is to have that level of concentration for that amount of time, or even the patience to wait. Because sometimes if your internet isn't having a good day, the YouTube trying to upload something to YouTube is not a fun day.
I've literally gone. So I've been trying. There was a video that we did recently, and it was about 40 minutes long, and it's probably about 10 minutes too long in my eyes. But it was important, and there was a lot of important topics covered in this video. And I literally got to the point where I was going, everybody off their tech now, because in my house you've got to have you've got to have the same Wi-Fi that's on the Death Star. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, there's 13 people that are trying to connect to the internet at any one time, plus your TV, plus this, plus Sky Glass, plus anything else. It's oh my God. So I'm trying to upload a video and it says 5 hours. I'm like, right, stop, everybody stop. This is just not going to happen. So yeah, it's quite funny that is. We all suffer the same problem. But the other thing as well is I think people forget that doing things like this and doing YouTube and everything, it takes a lot of guts.
Yeah.
And we did get a lot of people sniggering at us when we first started out, and you've got 100 subscribers and people think you're just doing it for a joke. But you have to believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, and if you don't love what you're doing, then nobody else will. And we absolutely love our YouTube now. And the biggest thing that we found as well, I mean, going forward, if I end up with 1 million subscribers, God knows if you can keep up with all the comments. But we try and comment back to everybody,
interactive with the
and try and interact with our followers, because I think every one of those people that has decided to watch and subscribe to your channel needs a high five in my book. I appreciate every single subscribe, every single comment, and every single interaction.
Especially in today's day and age, where attention spans are not the same thing of what they were 20 years ago. Especially with the design of TikTok and that now, where it's meant to be a 20-second video, and then it's the next thing, and then it's the next thing. So when there's an hour or half an hour, 20 minutes, whatever it may be, it's a massive compliment for someone to go all the way through that video, whatever it is you're doing, or however well produced it is, to take interest in that,
Totally. And what the biggest thing for us is a topic that we've talked about, and people have gone just amazing. Thanks very much for talking about it. We're really worried about it, and we did one on the cost of living, and it was about the energy bills and this kind of stuff. I'm watching that spider too.
Yeah.
There's a spider
It just
bungee jumping
literally
right
just
now.
came out of nowhere.
Just going, I'm watching you.
I was like, of all the times.
Dink.
Yeah, that might be the preview clip right there.
So, oh no, I love spiders, by the way. Don't worry.
Yeah.
So going back to that, it's like we put a lot of links onto charities that we found, and we did a bit of research for it as well, because I'm trying to switch energy companies as we speak. And if you go on something like one of the money supermarkets, one of the
it's not the easiest process.
Search engines, they've actually got no information for you, because there's no information out there at the moment. So you go on there to search for a better price, and they've got nothing to give you because they don't know what's happening.
And we're in an unprecedented time in the sense the legislation has just came like that, because this is obviously in the response to coming out the other side, tempting fate by saying that, of the pandemic and all that has brought on the economy from the last 2 years. So yeah, I do resonate with that a bit. Obviously not to probably the same extent, but I do understand where you're coming from when you bring that up.
It just seems. I mean, I know we're probably going a bit off piste there, but it just seems.
That's what this place is all about, man.
Yeah. But it just seems. I don't know. It just seems the rich get richer, the poor get poor. I know it's a whole nother debate. It's really annoying. It's really frustrating, especially for the people that are trying their best, and trying to keep everything together. And it just seems that there are huge profit margins out there. And it always seems to be the rest of us that get stung with the bill, if you know what I mean. And it's really annoying. But there we go, that's a whole other subject of it.
Well, like you were saying, you see things, and I know that the news isn't exactly the most 100% reliable thing, but you see like stuff like NHS contracts and that, and these big fees being thrown around, and then like you said, the first population that they'll hit with these sanctions. I mean, that's probably an appropriate word for today after what's happening, but is the working class, middle class, and so on. It works its way from the bottom up, right? So
of course it does. And there's that kind of middle bit that foots most of the bill, in comparison to the high earners and the low earners. God, I mean, how people are surviving, I don't know, to be honest, with all that and sanctions. That's quite a hot topic at the moment, isn't it?
I just heard it come out with both.
What a day! What an absolute day that is. But yeah.
So we'll retrack a little bit from that.
I
feel like we've took a left turn. So
rewind.
When you talk about like the TV opportunity, the experience rather, I should say, and you were talking about how it's kind of a third party control, not a third party control thing, but they're wanting you to guide what you're doing for their product, I guess you would put it as. Was that something that was a massive frustration for you to be around? Obviously, it's it's doing a good service for you as well, but at the same time, having had control of it from a editing standpoint, producing standpoint, if you will.
So the first one we did with Viacom, you had no choice on what was going on.
Yeah.
Literally no choice whatsoever. And there were a few scenarios that were manufactured. Unfortunately, a door was left open by accident, and Agnes got out, and of course all the cameras were rolling and all the panic about where Agnes was. Not that I'm accusing anybody of anything, but it was funny that the door was left open. Anyway, it's just little things like that, and you go, hang on a minute, come on.
Yeah, that's
with
not stuff to be messed around with.
No, not really.
Yeah.
I'm not accusing anybody of anything. I don't want to get a lawsuit against me or anything, but it just seemed little bits, things like that, were manufactured to kind of liven things up a bit.
And a little bit sus.
So moving on to the second filming, that was a lot better. It was still out of our control, and they still wanted to do the big moments. Like we went to the Highland Wildlife Park, and that was all kind of pre-planned and prepaid for, and all that kind of stuff. And so we went and filmed that, and that was okay, And there was some other bits and bobs that were pre-planned and premeditated, if you like, and we went and did that. But with this one that we're filming now, it is literally just a stop and watch kind of what we're doing, what's going on right now. I mean, the things that we've got going on this year are, I'm leaving the RAF, massive one, because if I get that all wrong, I don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So I'm leaving the RAF. I'm finding another job at the moment. So I'm training. I'm hopefully going to get another job in my field, which I'm an aircraft engineer, but I work in the support role side of it. So I'm looking for maybe a job there, but as a backup plan, I'm doing HGV. So I'm doing HGV as a backup plan and doing all that training. So that's all going on. So I've just done my theory test. and I'll be doing my practical in Portsmouth because it's provided by the military. So it's all subsidised. So I'll be going down to Portsmouth to do that later on in the year. But also we've got baby number 12 arriving in about 5 weeks' time. Here we go again.
It's imminent.
Yeah. So like 5 weeks' time. In fact, if the phone goes and I have to dash off, you know why. But no, so baby number 12 is going to be arriving. So that's a massive deal for us, obviously, and very exciting. And they're going to be filming all of that. And obviously there's birthdays and there's other things going on. We're going to be house hunting and we're going to be trying to get a mortgage, and trying to secure a property and all this kind of stuff. So there's lots of life stuff going on this year.
I take it that would probably be because the house that you're in just now is a military house. Yeah. I don't know if I can say that, but...
No, you can. Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that the military can provide is housing if you're married. But we had a couple of opportunities to buy properties, but anybody that's had a life in the military... We got married. We were living in Cornwall. We were stationed at St Morgan. Within about 6 months, we were posted to Valley in North Wales. We were there for a couple of years. We were just about to buy a property, and they civilianised search and rescue, which is what I was working on at the time. So we were posted again. So we were then posted down to Oxford. You have to be a millionaire to afford a house in Oxford.
Yeah.
So we then thought about moving back down to Cornwall, where we're from. So we gave that a shot. I was working in Oxford, and we were commuting. And all that kind of thing, and that just didn't work.
Yeah, that's
that was just too much because we're such a close family. We hated every minute of it, so we moved back together to Benson, and then the opportunity of Lossy came up. So we came up to Lossy, but we just haven't been in the right place to buy a property yet. So there was 2 shots. We had 2 shots at buying a house, one in Cornwall, one in North Wales, and both times there was postings came up and everything fell through. And that's just unfortunately life in the military. That's just what happens. But now we're kind of, it's D-Day. Now we have to try and buy a property, especially before I get too old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My God. So we're now looking at using what's called the LIFT scheme in Scotland, which is the leading first-time buyers, and there's other things that are available for people leaving the forces, and there's things. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get there and we'll get what we need.
I mean, that is like a heavy schedule, like you're saying, with... You know, obviously you're still in employment with the military at the moment, then looking for another job, and you've got the backup plan most you're doing, so in case the plan A doesn't work, you've got plan B, on top of all the kind of, I don't know if it's a daily upload or every couple of days and that, to keep that consistent. I mean, that is some schedule, man.
Well, yeah, there's an old saying, and the saying goes, if you want something done, ask a busy person.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's very true, and that's me and Zoe all over. And we both work as a team. We're literally like a tag team, and Zoe will do what she's got to do. I'll do what I've got to do. So excuse me a moment. So say for instance, we've just done the kids' tea, so I'll be cooking the kids' tea, and then Zoe will be downstairs getting everything sorted out. I'll have the kids upstairs getting the little ones ready for bed, bathed and bed, and then we're into our evening routine, and then in the morning we've got our own routine as well. She'll do this and I'll do that, and we just bounce off each other, and that's the same when it comes to everything else. That's YouTube. Social media, the whole thing. We just literally bounce off each other. I don't know whether I'm going to sneeze or not. I'm really sorry.
Don't worry, I'm really sorry. It won't see the light of day if you do.
if my eye keeps twitching, that's why. So we've always been the same though. We've always had the same thought processes. We've always had the same kind of idea of what we want out of life. We've always had the same idea on how we want to raise our children. So it's been a natural progression really, and we don't stop. There isn't any time to be, poor me, when do I get my 5 minutes? I get my 5 minutes to myself when I'm editing a video. Really enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
It's like therapy for me. Editing and uploading a video on YouTube is when I get my downtime, and that's enough for me, Do
you think if you didn't have that constant flow of something to do that it would bother you? Probably goes for you and your wife.
Bored out of my mind. Yeah. If I didn't have what we have, I would be bored out of my mind. I would literally. I in fact, there's been a recent course I was on. I was down in near London for a week on a course for the RAF, and we had downtime in the evenings, and I think I did both series of Mandalorian. I even watched Cobra Kai.
Oh yeah,
right. And I was like, but you're just bored out of your mind because when you're at home. You're always going. Your mind's always thinking. You're thinking of the next thing, or you're thinking of how can I improve my YouTube channel? What can we do next? What's a good video we can do? So that your mind's always busy, And the kids, I wouldn't change my life for the world, especially with the kids. Our kids are amazing. So
we'll bring it back to the public life kind of not public life in the public eye kind of scenario.
Yeah.
So when we were talking about trolls and that, and I think at that particular time it was maybe more to do with you and your wife. How do you make sure that, like, obviously your children are growing up
yes,
in this scenario, and we've obviously discussed that trolling is, it's, I don't want to say it's a part of life, but it is something that people are, it's quite common to come along to now, and especially when, you know, they're growing up and then becoming adults in the teenage years and stuff, and it's more, I mean, I don't want to make an assumption, but it seems to be more common in younger age groups as well now. Mm-hmm. How do you plan for that, if there is a way to plan for it?
So the first thing that we always said to ourselves, if the children don't want to be filmed doing something, we won't do it. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. Everybody has to be on board with what we're filming, right? If we do get trolled, the kids, to be honest with you, the kids these days are, they're quite switched on, you know, especially with social media and everything. They're really switched on, and they see that kind of thing quite a lot. But if it's directed at us, we'll try and keep it away from them. And if it is directed at us, it's normally on, say, the Sun have done stories on us, and the Scottish Sun have done stories on us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't think very highly of that paper. I don't think many people that watch this think highly of that paper either. So,
but there's stories that we didn't know were happening, because I don't know if anybody knows that if you put stuff out on social media, it's in the public eye. Yeah. And then they can, especially if you've done a TV show, they can grab screen grabs from the TV show and write what they like.
Yeah, it's not like is it trademark content or copyright?
Exactly,
Yeah,
it's not copyrighted, and especially if you put, especially your social media. If you put social media stuff out there, it's all public access.
Yeah.
So they can take photos from what you're doing, or they can take stuff from the media that you've done, or the TV shows you've done, and then they can print whatever story they like. But unfortunately, with the Sun and people like that, with the Sun and people like that, you get a certain clientele, and anything to do with a big family or anything to do with that.
That's maybe with the term gaslighting comes in.
Yeah, you just got to expect it. You've got to expect the same old kind of comments and the same old. I can't even repeat some of the comments. They're disgusting. So it's just part of life, and we try and keep that away from the kids, really.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, we don't get it on our YouTube channel, and we don't get it. We don't get it on our Instagram or anything like that. And very rarely from that one person that we didn't mention. Yeah, she might. She. Whoa.
Keep them guessing.
May well put something on now and again, but whatever. But
yeah, like we said, this is kind of like it's like a highway for these people that they'll come by, do this, and then they'll be on to the next. You know what I mean? Like they're just out to watch the world burn. I suppose is probably the analogy for it.
Well, they just get an enjoyment out of it. They get a kick out of making other people miserable, I suppose.
Well, I'll ask you something more positive.
Okay, let's go.
I feel like I've been asking quite not cynical questions, but more
dark.
Yeah. So when you were mentioning starting out on like iMovie and an iPhone and stuff like that, and now obviously being more confident with editing and stuff like that and uploading, how does it make you feel that when you said it would take 3 hours for you to kind of understand the whole how to get a video edited properly and that, to now obviously we can't name the production that you're part of just now, but them giving you control because they've seen what you've done and think that highly of you that we can leave this in your hands if we can't get there? How does that fill you with pride in terms of this is I take it a lot of the editing that you've done self-taught?
Yeah, absolutely. It's all self-taught. What I've done in the past is I've watched videos,
tutorials,
and I think I quite like that, or whatever. But when you first start out, you just assume that YouTube is after videos that have things flying in and flying out, and these bings and bongs and all this kind of stuff. And it's actually a load of rubbish. Do you know what I mean? That's not what it's all about at all. People just want to enjoy a video that's nicely put together. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are kids out there watching these crazy YouTube channels, and there is an audience for it. But our audience, I've realised, just want a nice video to watch, or a nice vlog to watch, and you don't have to have all of the gimmicks. You don't have to have all of that stuff in there. You don't have to edit absolutely everything out. So it's lovely now that, I mean, in fact, I had a conversation with the owner of the media company today. And she basically said to me, she gave me the biggest compliment ever, and she said, "You literally film what we would film. You film the shots that we need. When we ask you to film something, you've naturally got that technique down where you're in between in between parts where you're talking, you are filming shots that are that complement it and naturally leads you on to the next subject. She said, so you've just got it down, and that is literally that's self-taught. That's just like a dogged determination to learn off other people and learn off other YouTubers and to learn what works best for you, really.
And like you said, it's not just the editing process; it's also to do with the imagination and all telling a story as well.
Planning in your head what you want to get. And now we've been doing it for so long. I know, right, it's Saturday, so I know I want to film A, B, C, then we'll stop for lunch because the kids don't like me filming the meeting. So that's fine. And I've said that on my vlogs before. Somebody said, we'd love to see you eating your lunch. And I'm like, no, I can't.
Off the table.
I can't. That's one of the taboo subjects at the moment, because when you've got 4 teenage daughters, they just don't want to be filmed chomping on their lunch or whatever. So and then you think to yourself, well, in the afternoon we're doing X, Y, and Z, so we'll film this, we'll film getting ready, getting in the car, going there, doing this, feeding ducks, whatever we're doing. That day is and it's all planned out in your head, and then it's, right, guys, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed that video. Please subscribe to our channel, hit the bell for notifications, and all that good stuff. And you just get to a point where it comes second nature. You know exactly what you want, you know exactly how you want to tell the story. And sometimes I'll mix it up a bit, and I'll go for a few different shots and a bit of time lapse or a bit of slow down stuff, just to make it a little bit more interesting, And sometimes I'll throw something in. Like there was an instant where I started doing. So a lot of YouTubers will start a video, their introduction, and then it'll be, "Hey guys, coming up today, we've got this. Please subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to do this," and blah blah blah. Right?
It's got that bell notification and stuff like that.
Right. So I started doing that. And I did it for a couple of videos. And I went, I absolutely hate that.
Yeah,
that's feel just like it not just who we are.
Became like you were saying the same thing every single time. Like,
I mean, a lot of there's nicknaming, and there's a lot of other people that give a lot of advice on YouTube, and they say, you need to tell people what you want, and what you want really is for them to subscribe and to comment and all the good stuff, and more interaction. The good better it is for the algorithm and everything else. So that's the game.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I want to do it organically, and I want to do it in a way that people will enjoy watching your content without you churning out stuff for money.
And you don't want it to feel like work, right? Because this all started for you, not because it was like, oh, wait, we could make money. This is because someone suggested it to you, and you were doing this anyway, just not on this platform.
No. And that's it. And for me, yes, it's lovely to earn a bit of money out of it.
Yeah, of course.
And that is the end game. We all want to earn 15 grand a month, don't we?
That's how the world
all want
works,
to have 2 nice
isn't it?
cars and a lovely house to live in. That is the dream. And if we get there, high five, thanks everybody, and hopefully what we're doing will pay off in that people will see that we're trying to be genuine, we're trying to be organic, we're trying to grow naturally, and we appreciate every subscriber that we've got and every interaction that we get. There's obviously people out there that just throw stuff out there just to try and get their channel bigger, and I've noticed as well there are YouTubers out there that are demanding that you subscribe to their channel and demanding this and and that's not.
You can tell these people are stressed that they're not even in. It's meant to be a creative platform, right? And it's not that anymore for them. It's more, they might as well, no disrespect to anyone that works in like a factory line or that, but they might as well be doing the same thing every single day,
churning out videos.
And it's not a way to live your life, is it?
And that's not what we want. We just want to tell the story of our life, and we've adapted and grown, and like all we ever used to do were just videos on what we were doing that day, and now that's developed into we'll probably do 1 or 2 of those a week. And the other videos we're doing are a chat about a certain subject, like we've said before, or Zoe will do one on this crazy Japanese way of folding clothes that she's got, where she can put 5,000 T-shirts into a drawer that big. Yeah, honestly, I'm not joking. Yeah, I literally open my drawer and go, my God, I don't even. There's like 2,000 T-shirts.
Like
so how do I choose my T-shirt? But it's all been Japanesed, and now and it's brilliant as well, because obviously we've got 13 people in a 4-bed house, so any kind of
it's good expression for you guys as well, right? Like obviously with these are obviously these are family, and that's what I don't want to say the show, that seems a bit corporate, but that's what the channel's about. But at the same time, from doing that, you and your wife have to be as solid as it can be. That goes without saying, whether you're just in a marriage in an orthodox family, if you will, or in this situation.
Exactly.
But at the same time, doing this is a lot of work for you guys as well, like you've already mentioned with the jobs and having to think about the living and all that, and the channel and that. So it must be a good like bonding time for you as well, and
Totally.
get to express that to the.
Especially when Zoe and I mean, we our setup at the moment is a ring light with my iPhone, and we do it in the kitchen with the lights down, and we're sat on two stools.
All right.
So like two little gnomes sat in the kitchen, but it looks nice visually. It looks nice, but you have to kind of adapt. And you have to make a little studio wherever you can.
And the only thing that exists on the camera is what the camera sees. Like
Exactly.
if they were if those cameras that are on right now were pointed at that bar, it doesn't matter about that.
But at the end, but it's quite funny because sometimes there'll be me and my wife. And that's all that's in the frame. It's me and my wife. And then you'll hear this rustling, and it's somebody trying to ninja in the kitchen, go get a drink or something. And I'm like, what are you actually doing? And then we'll get that on the camera. I'm just trying to get a drink.
I suppose that's still like, when it was obviously there's platforms and that didn't exist, and it was more just live TV. I suppose it's that still kind of fear instilled of us all, like, oh, we can't be seen. Whereas nowadays, even if that was a deal breaker, that can't go in, you can just take it out. You know what I mean? Like it's as easy as.
But it's actually the flip side. It's actually funny to keep it in.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah.
People love that kind of
stuff. Yeah,
raw, reality of being in a house with 13 people. And I used to cut all that kind of stuff out, but now I keep it in because it's part of us. It's part of who we are.
Yeah.
I've got some nutty kids that decide to leopard crawl in the kitchen when you try to do a vlog. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. And it's funny, isn't it? It's funny and it's natural life. But yeah, going back to the editing, it's so I did go through like 50 mics. I did go through using a DSLR, and then I was using like a proper vlogging camera. With a double flip, but what I found was it was more fluid, it was easier to use my iPhone, and what I'm saying is, as iPhones developed, I mean now I've got a 12 Pro, and it is absolutely fantastic.
These phones aren't phones anymore; they're computer devices.
Blows me away now. The video you can get on it now, it just blows me away. The mics are better. There's a dual mic in there. So what I used to have was this like Heath Robinson rig where I had like a selfie stick with this massive like fence on the end, and then I had like a camera in the middle with like a microphone up here, and then something else going on up here, and I was going around like some Dalek or something around Lossiemouth, and people were looking at me like, oh, what's that nutter doing, but in the end, all you really need is good content, an iPhone, an iMovie,
and that's your oyster, yeah.
And that's it. And the other things, like I do have transitions between certain. What I like to do is like, so right guys, we're finishing for lunch now, so we'll see you in a bit, yeah, and then we'll transition over. And I made those on what did I make them on? That was on Notes, not Notes. It was like PowerPoint, but on Mac. I don't know what it's called now.
The Apple version of it.
The Apple version of PowerPoint. And I made it on that, and it just flew in and flew out, and that was it. So I just used that as a little transition and stuff. So it's being clever with things, and like I'm not a salesman for Apple, but I am 100% an Apple convert, and I have been for years. But you can do the same sort of thing with other editing software as well, and you don't have to spend a fortune. And iMovie does come free with your Mac, so it's so simple to use, and it's so easy to use. It's film. I've got, say, 25, 30 pieces of film that I film throughout the day, airdrop it straight over to the Mac, drop it onto iMovie. It's all ready in sequence, because I've known what I've wanted to film throughout the day, and then it's just nip and tuck and happy days and transitions, and you're away, and volume adjustments and bits and bobs.
And it's literally there for everyone, It's like the world is your oyster if you have these tools that are accessible to, most people.
Exactly. And I think people assume you need to spend thousands of pounds on this kind of, obviously if you're doing a podcast, it's nice to have nice mics and have some nice sound.
Oh, trust me, we've grown to this point. This is not how this place started.
And to be honest, I think my wife and I will end up not doing podcasts, but we'll end up maybe doing a vlog with nice mics eventually. That's kind of the dream, is we'll have a nice little table set up with a couple of mics and be talking about a subject as well as the other videos that we do. But yeah, no, it's a progression. But what you've got to do really is you've got to adapt, and you've got to find what works. and then you've got to, you know, stick to your guns and believe in what you're doing, and you know, and there are people out there that will laugh at you when you first start out, but when you start getting to, you know,
do that with anything though, right?
Yeah,
you know?
and you start getting to 3,000 subscribers, and people start taking notice of you a little bit more. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
and taking you a little bit more seriously, and that's it. That's what it's all about.
This might be a bit of a rhetorical question,
Go
but
on.
I'll ask it anyway. What are the differences from having, I suppose, 2 to 3 children in the family to having 11, soon to be 12? Like, just from day to day life, how does that affect? What are the differences?
So, going back to having 2 children, right? And I have to really drag it out of my memory here, because we had 1 child, then we went straight into it. So we had Elizabeth, then we had Olivia. So going back to 2005, 2006. So it was Elizabeth and Olivia. Then we had the twins, 2007.
The first set of twins.
First set of twins. All right. So we went from having 1 child to having 4 quite quickly. But what I find is, and it's when you first start out having children, the life that you knew, right? It's and you can read all the books you want. Yeah. You can watch all the videos you like. You can, you know, right? And you think you've got it all sussed in your head.
You cannot prepare for that.
You can't prepare for having a baby, right? It is the most amazing thing you'll ever do, and you soon realise that you're so invested in this little thing that you can't even believe it. You know, you can't even believe what you were doing before. I can't even remember what I was doing before. Really, you know, I must have had so much free time. I didn't know what to do with myself. Probably I used to go out and drinking all the time. You know what I mean? But and that's years ago. But yeah, so you've got 1 or 2 children, and what you find is with 1 or 2 kids, and this is I'm not slating parents that've got 1 or 2 kids, but you find you might be a little bit more nitpicky with them, or you might be a little bit more, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. But the more and more children you have, you realise the more relaxed you've got to be. You have to be a little bit more relaxed. And what I mean is, we have ground rules in the house.
Of course,
rules, right? So there are ground rules that you eat at the dinner table. Yeah, you don't mess about when we go out, especially if we're going out for a meal, because it's expensive. And you say your pleases and thank yous, and you're kind to each other most of the time, right?
Yeah.
Because we've got teenage daughters.
Yeah.
You can imagine
siblings
what
will be siblings,
right? You can imagine what it's like. So we don't expect them to be angels, but there are certain ground rules that we have developed over the years.
Yeah.
And it de-stresses you, because you think you've got to conform to this kind of, I don't know what, you've got this idea in your head, your kids have got to be absolutely perfect, prim and proper, you've got to wear this, drive that, do this, do that. And what you realise is the more kids you have, if you relax more with them, if you're more relaxed with them when you're out and about and not going, put that down, put that, no, do this, don't do that, do that, you enjoy it more. You enjoy having children more. You're more relaxed with them. Don't get me wrong, there are moments where, you know, they've driven me absolutely bonkers, and they still do, right? You know, we're not the Waltons, eh? There are moments where...
But I suppose, like, you know, coming from someone that isn't a parent, I suppose that must be part of parenthood, right? Like, even if it's a frustration at the time, you look back on that in 10 years and laugh about it, you know, because there is going to be a day where all the nestlings will have flown the nest, if that makes sense, you know, and that's, you know, from, you know, my grandparents and that, saying that was something that they always remember, even the times that they, you know, viewed as, you know, bad, I suppose, at the time, or frustrating or annoying, are some of their best memories now, because they don't have that anymore, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but like you said before, the difference between having 2 kids and having 11/12, I just think it's magic. It's like you've just got this massive family, and yes, they squabble and everything, but at the end of the day, they would all look after each other, and they all help each other out, and they all develop these little relationships as well. Like Olivia's one of our eldest, and she and Agnes are the closest I've ever seen 2 people be. You know, and to some degree, they're closer than we are to her.
Yeah.
You know, Olivia's closer to Agnes than we are, and they're sisters that are 10 to 11 years apart. You know. But they're the best of friends, and they love each other to bits. So it's lovely to see all these little relationships develop, and they all play together and work together. And then if we have a Domino's night, it's hilarious. Yeah. You know, because there's 100 quid for Domino's, and you know, everyone's smashing into it. But there does come a point as well that you realise, I'm losing control.
Yeah.
And that kind of happened to me last night, because there's Noah who's S1, and then there's the other 4 that are all going through high school as well. And I got to the point. I don't know if you've ever listened to TikTok in the background where it's just one video after the next, after the next, after the next. And to me, sometimes it's just noise. And I've been listening to it for about 2 hours. I've been listening to Noah with his next video, and Charlotte and Isabel, and they're all on TikTok. And I went, will you just shut up? TikTok, man, because it's just noise. So next minute,
must be like information overload, just like hearing that.
And there's a point in the evening where I just want a bit of quiet. Just an hour of quiet, right? The whole lot of them, turned their phones on, blared it out with whatever TikTok they could find, and I thought, okay,
you've kind of got to respect that in a way,
I thought, I asked for that actually. Do you know what I mean?
Does it? I mean, I don't know if this is like, obviously it doesn't wear off getting told that you're going to be a dad and that again. I would imagine, but is it kind of? Do you ever just sit back for a moment and like, obviously all your children must have different personalities and stuff. Do you ever like just take it in? You're like, how has my life got to here? Like, I take it this is not how it like was planned. I take it it's just how it's just worked out. It's just
evolved.
Yeah.
I mean, we always wanted to. Me and Zoe, we knew each other. We were kind of boyfriend and girlfriend when she was 16 and I was 17. Or whatever, and we were kids. And then I left to join the RAF later on, and she left to move. She moved to Portsmouth, and then later on we bumped into each other again back in Cornwall, and the rest is history. But it's one of those things that we wanted to have a large family. I wanted to have more kids than mum to shut her up, and and Zoe was virtually an only child. She had an older brother that was 12 years old or 10 years older than her, but he'd left home and everything, so she was virtually an only child, and she didn't like it that much. So she always wanted to have a large family as well, and it's just never really stopped, to be honest. It's not a conscious decision that we're trying to take over from the Radford family. We've got 22 kids. It's just something that we've always wanted to have another child, or we've wanted to have another one, or and we've had good pregnancies and bad pregnancies, and we've seen it all really. We've had our second set of twins were born 10 weeks prem. So, and that was a time in my life that it's just a blur, really, with the stress that you go through with premature babies and things. And there was a point where Erin was told that she had a 50% chance of survival. So we had to kind of, prepare ourselves for the worst, but she pulled through it and everything. And she had sepsis at the time, but she was about, I think she didn't even weigh a pound, or she was about a pound in weight or something like that, But they both pulled through, and now they're driving us crazy, which is brilliant. So there's a happy end to that story. But yeah, it's one of those things that sometimes I'll sit down and I'll go, how did it come to this?
Yeah.
How did it happen? Well, I know how it happened, but it's like...
Are you glad that you came to a remote place like Murray rather than being in like a city in this type of situation? Because I go to somewhere like Glasgow, which is like quite a busy industrial place, and I come back here and it feels like I'm deaf, apart from when the planes are as it's being demonstrated right now. Yeah.
Damn RAF.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. I mean, we lived on the commute back for London. So we lived in a place called Benson Village, right? So it's next to RAF Benson, but there are celebrities that live in that village. It's on the commute back for London. We were, let's just say, we were people in a foreign land. So the Air Force had found this. They were really short on married quarters. So what they do is they outsource. And they outsourced us a house in Benson Village. So we were living in a cul-de-sac. I say a cul-de-sac. Our house was a detached 5-bedroom house with a double garage. Right, this is the one we were renting. But we lived in a neighbourhood of people that were earning over 6 figures, and they had things like their wine delivered. They had their laundry taken away and laundered for them and brought back. You're living in that environment where a fishmonger comes round and asks you if you want to buy a big salmon, and we're like, no, no thanks. You know what I mean? And then we rock up, the hillbillies in the minibus, and you know what I mean? And that's what it felt like. It just felt like we were these hillbillies that were living in an environment that was so alien to us. And it's if you've ever lived near London, or if you've ever lived in that commute-about area for London, it's very much keep up with the Joneses. It's very much, if you haven't got a Range Rover, you're a nobody. Wherever you go, there's people trying to outdo each other everywhere with what they earn and what they've got, and that
there's
just
like a
wasn't
social
us.
food chain.
We're from an old mining town in Cornwall. Do you know what I mean? That just wasn't us. I'm not saying I'm Bob Cratchit or anything, but I'm just saying that we're from another world. And when we moved back up to Lossiemouth, well, not back up to Lossiemouth, when we moved up to Lossiemouth.
Do you feel like it has a lot, not Lossie in general, but this kind of remote nature of areas? I think it has certain elements in common with Cornwall. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely. So Cornwall, if you haven't been to Cornwall, I am Cornish, originally Cornish. It's a beautiful place. Lots of beautiful places to go. Unfortunately, it's been hijacked by Airbnb now, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
So it's very commercialised now, Cornwall. So it's nice. Murray is one of these places that hasn't yet been commercialised completely. If you go down to Cornwall, everything's commercialised. People from London are grabbing whatever property they can and opening up Airbnbs. And if you're a local, good luck, buying a property. Where we're from, which is one of the cheapest places to buy in Cornwall, you're talking £325,000 for a 4-bedroom house. So the locals are completely priced out of the market now down there. And I'm hoping it doesn't happen for Murray. We've seen it happen in Cornwall. And we're hoping it doesn't happen up here. But this place is just beautiful. And the best thing about places like Murray are that there's so much free stuff to do, right?
Yeah, of
when
course.
you live near London, you got to pay for everything.
Yeah.
And I mean everything. And if you're not going to Legoland, or you're not going to Peppa Pig World, or you're not doing all these things that cost like £1 million, then you're a nobody. Yeah. Whereas up here, you can we just literally pay a flask of coffee, get some stuff for the kids, get a few drinks for the kids, go to Rose Isle and spend the afternoon at Rose Isle, walking along the beach and playing in the woods and doing all this stuff for free. And that's, I mean, don't get me wrong, we like to get a coffee now and again at Duffers Castle, and there is actually now a coffee shack down there.
Yeah, there's a juice bar there now as well. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. And so it's lovely to get a coffee down there as well. But if you're a bit skinned, you can just jump in the car and go somewhere for free. And there's lots of places to go for free. And where we live in Lossiemouth, you've either got the river, the woods, the two beach. Well, hopefully when East Beach opens up again, we'll have two beaches.
They're in the process of making it now, aren't they?
Wait to make that YouTube
How long's
video.
it been? It's been like 3 years
It's
since.
been ages. Can't wait to make that YouTube video.
I suppose the pandemic probably affected it as well. But you make a good point in the sense of, when I was growing up and that, we would always like speak to each other like, why do we not have like cinemas closer to us and this? And I think we always kind of take for granted what we have and look at what someone else has and want that. And like you said, you can go anywhere really. The world is your oyster.
Yep.
Like the woods, like there's so much to see, whether it be through nature or amazing kind of scenery and that. Whereas I'll go to Inverness to work tomorrow and there's like traffic lights every 10 metres, you know what I mean? Like, no disrespect to Inverness, I'm just using it as an example for like...
But then Inverness is quite a small town, really.
Yeah.
In comparison to like Reading or Oxford or...
But you see
other big places.
the transition starting to happening, and the more busy and industrious a city is more when you'll see that kind of concrete jungle, they call it, don't they?
Well, employment drives it, doesn't it? That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So people want jobs. Now that the oil and gas industry is kind of like quieting down a little bit, isn't it? So I suppose that's might be having an effect on Aberdeen, but I'm not sure. I mean, that was always going to be my plan. I was going to leave the RAF and go straight into the oil and gas, but that's just not really viable now, to be honest. There are enough guys that are already qualified in oil and gas out there that are wanting jobs. So why train up somebody else? So it's that kind of thing. So now we're having to look into different avenues and things, But yeah, moving up here was the best decision we ever made, because it is who we are. We are go for a walk down the woods, take a flask of coffee. That's the type of people we are. Don't get me wrong, if we were millionaires, it'd be nice to go to Florida to go and see all the sights and everything. But yeah, for now, what we do the most that we can as a family and together. And as long as we're together doing it, that's the best thing, to be honest.
How did the I always say I want to stop talking about the pandemic on here because we've talked about it so much.
That damn pandemic.
Yeah, there's that pesky 2 years that's stopped the world. But how did the pandemic affect your family in particular? Because obviously we'll take it back to March 2020. No one really kind of knew what was going on. And then this unprecedented event happened where no one was allowed to leave their house unless you were going for like an hour or something, which I don't even know how that could be policed. But anyway, that was the rule at the time. Everyone was mandated to stay at home and that. And obviously that must have been even more exacerbated in your house, considering, there's 13, 14 years in the house at one time.
It was the best year ever.
Really?
Honestly. And I'm not playing down the pandemic. And we know... We've just done a vlog on this, literally just done a vlog on this. How did the pandemic affect our kids was the title of the vlog, but it went into more than that. It was a time where Olivia was starting to split away, going off with her friends and stuff and hanging around town and things. And that's kind of not what we advocate, really. We don't really like that. But then if that's what she wants to do. So the pandemic, when it hit, it brought her back, and in a way that actually, and like I need to say again, you know, a lot of bad stuff happened.
Yeah,
so
for
we're not
sure.
playing that down, but this is our experience. We had such a great summer, and it brought us all together as a family. So much so that it's not stopped. Even now the pandemic's over, we are still as close. We still do all those things together. There's things like we used to, when we were allowed out for our 45-minute walk or whatever it was, God forbid, that became a thing.
Yeah.
And that's something that we still do. Obviously, the winter's pants, so we can't really get out as much. But in the summer, we're either in the garden with the pool out, or we're out for a walk, you know, down the beach, or we're doing something, you know, together. And it brought us really close together as a family. And having that time off work as well was just a godsend. It was really, like, it couldn't have come at a better time. And I know it is in the worst.
Because life comes at you fast, right? So having, I wouldn't say that you're trying to say the pandemic was positive in any way. I think you're trying to say that
we made the best
positive experiences from a bad situation.
We really made the best of it, and we really, you know, and we also made. There was the whole lockdown thing going on, and we made some funny videos. We've got a playlist on our channel actually of 5 videos that we made, and we did parodies of "I Want to Break Free" from Queen, and like I'd made little moustaches for all the kids, and we were all Freddie Mercury doing the whole hoovering and that. So we did parodies of that. We did Our House from you know, from Madness and stuff. So we did all these parody videos as well, which was great fun. And one of them actually it did really well. You know, it ended up getting shared about 60 times, whatever. It did really well and got out there. But so there was all that going on, and we literally embraced the opportunity to build our YouTube channel and to like literally do a video diary of what was going on each day. Where we were, and especially the big hot topics as well was homeschool and the nightmare. That
must have been a nightmare.
So that was a nightmare.
Even if it wasn't as many children, I think that kind of whole scheme was just kind of...
Yeah, it was a disaster waiting to happen, and it really was. And I feel so sorry for kids, really, especially the kids that went through the pandemic that had their exams and everything, because it's all gone to rat shit, really. You know, excuse my language, but it has a little bit, and they're still catching up now. From the year from 2020 was it when this first kicked off? So
March
2020 was brilliant. The summer was fantastic. You know, we had a great time, and all that, and it was all clapping for carers and all that kind of stuff on it. And we actually filmed a little piece for ITV on that as well, I think. But anyway, so then you went into 2021, and we did the video we were filming that production for. That was obviously everyone was socially isolated and doing what they had to do, doing 2 weeks isolation and then coming up and filming and whatnot. So that was all done right. And we filmed that through 2021, but you still it's still getting difficult really with the whole homeschooling. That was quite a tough time actually, homeschooling. It was a bit of a pain in the arse. But we ended up, what we did was, I think to some degree the teachers were just trying to cover their butts. By just dumping a load of work on Teams for the kids, and the kids were going, where do I even start? I've got 60 pieces of work to do. So what we ended up doing was having a schedule where we'd have the little ones doing their homework in the morning, and then they had playtime after that, and then we were doing the older ones were doing theirs in the afternoon, so they'd have a bit of free time in the morning to do. So it was
almost like the teachers were delegating the duty to parents and kids themselves, I suppose.
Yeah, but we had to kind of manage it ourselves, and whatever we could do, we just we had to end up telling the schools to poke off, because at the end of the day, the kids' mental health was the most important thing to us.
100%, right? Yeah.
And it was getting that balance between, yes, they've got to do schoolwork, but you've got to stop nagging them. Yeah. You know, because there was one instant where we had so many problems logging into Teams that Olivia was 28 pieces of homework behind, and she almost had a breakdown about it. And I said, right, stop. I said, delete all 28 of them. And I emailed the school and I said, you've got to stop sending work after work after work after work after work, because these kids can't do it. And it's affecting their mental health. So after that, they took that on board, and they were just reducing the amount of workload on the kids and stuff like that, and we kind of managed it ourselves.
Especially when it's, like we said, it's an unprecedented event.
Yeah,
You're mandated by the state to stay at home, which is not ideal. The communications came massively along the way digitally, but I would say we're not at the point yet where every single thing can be done digitally, whether if it ever can be. They
want to get to that point, but in some ways, you're taking something away as well.
Yeah.
You know, you're taking, if everything's done online, then where's the human interaction
exactly,
anymore?
Yeah.
You know, we're sociable animals. That's what we are.
So we're kind of, right, you know, in that sense, if we're all online, we're evolving into AI in a way. Yeah,
it's like a human instinct to be part of a community, to be part of this, to be part of that. That is what being a human is all about. And when you take away, I mean, obviously you can get that online with social media and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. You can be part of a community, but what I mean is
it's
like
not the same though, right?
Human interaction. You know, that's a big part of.
You can't have a Christmas dinner on Zoom.
No, and that's kind of where we've got to kind of draw the line a little bit. I think, yes, we've learned that we can do a lot of stuff online, and Teams is great and all this kind of stuff, and Zoom, but you need to bring back some human interaction, because there are people out there that are sat on sofas on their own. You know, there are people out there that need that kind of human interaction, and I feel sorry for them, really.
I think, you know, when it started and you know, probably through the entire process, people were like, you know, I can't believe people are moaning about this. It's not that big a deal. Well, I was like, well, it is, isn't it? Like, because whenever tragedy happens or, you know, you go through these hard times, the thing that has got people and humanity through every single thing that is faced is unity, right? And being together with people, whether it be like these mass wars or, you know, obviously like with the pandemic, it took that away, right? It wasn't you were having a bad time. It was, there was a bad time going on, but you had no one. Do you know what I mean? Like you could speak to someone, like, you know, I did it as well, spoke to friends through screens, but it kind of numbed your social sense in the way of you would even forget you were speaking to each other. You know, it was just, it was a weird time, and I'm hoping that we're not going back. It's only forward now.
I think we're nearing the end now. I think, to be honest with you, even though we know how serious COVID is, everyone's getting cheesed off of it.
Yeah, and it's in an endemic phase now, right, where it's not as lethal as it.
I think we're quite jabbed up now as well. Yeah, you know, for those
antivirals are coming along now as well.
For those that are jabbed, obviously, but it is. I think the what do they call it? Is it the herd
immunity?
Herd immunity. They do now, as that's taking hold as well. So
because the Omicron one just went through everyone.
And I've got to be honest, I'm so fed up of my glasses steaming up every time I put a mask on, and
same.
And all that, and
people don't understand that struggle.
Oh my god! And you're trying to talk to. I'm trying to tuck the mask under my glasses and sit my glasses on top of the mask to try and stop it from steaming up when I'm just going in the copy for something. You know,
March 21st though. It's
because
I don't think it's a thing of where. I don't think it should just be a thing where it's like you don't do it anymore and you do it. Everyone should have their own choice to do it. You know what I mean? That's just my
if
kind of.
If you want to wear a mask, do it. You know, there's nothing stopping you, is there? There's nothing stopping people wearing a mask at all. You know, so I mean, me personally, I'd be happy to see the back of masks. I think, just purely from the glasses point of view, because it drives me crazy. But we are now we're now transitioning back in a way. Yes, we've moved on to a certain degree, but I do hope we transition back a little bit to be more sociable and everything else, you know, and stop kind of that panic about being within 2 meters of something and that kind of stuff. So, I would say for us, the pandemic was 50-50. In fact, no, the summer was great. The summers were great and all that kind of stuff, but we were lucky in the fact that we've got such a large family as well. So,
that support network.
Yeah, we're all there for each other, you know, and in whatever's going on, and that's what we're still like now with. We're always discussing hot topics, especially with the older ones, you know, especially with what's going on at the moment with Russia and everything, and the Ukraine. But we're always discussing things like that as a family. So
that's healthy, right? That's
it is, of course it is.
With their children.
But yeah, I suppose there were good points and bad points about the pandemic. Obviously, there were tough times as well. But I'm kind of glad we're coming out the end of it now.
It feels, in a way, it's been long, but it's also been quick. You know, we've just came from so far from where we're at.
Yep.
Before we let you go,
okay,
I'm going to ask you, you've kind of already talked about this a little bit. I was going to ask you your future plans. How do you plan to grow the channel? What are you planning on doing after coming out of the military? You've already kind of went into that. So the floor is yours.
Okay, so if you don't already know, we're the Sullivan family.
Yeah, feel free to plug. Yeah,
I'm plugging away. I've got my T-shirt on. We're the Sullivan family. We've got the Sullivan family YouTube. We've got the Sullivan family Facebook page, and Zoe and I have got our own Instagrams as well. But everything's linked with Linktree in any case. So if you go on one of our platforms, you'll find our Linktree, and we're on there, right? The way we want to develop our social media, really, yes, I am still thinking about a normal job. What the dream is to not have to do a normal job. The dream is to be able to video and vlog and everything we do, and that become my job. That's the dream. Obviously, we're not anywhere near that yet. So I'm still looking for employment and all that kind of stuff, and that's going to happen this year. But the way we want to drive our YouTube is to keep doing what we're doing, keep listening to the feedback we're getting from the people that are watching our channel, which is amazing. And we're getting lots of, would you do this video? Would you do that video? Yeah, absolutely. And we jot all that down on a note on my phone, actually, and we kind of pick a subject and we'll vlog about it. And it's lovely that we've got this kind of community developing around our channel as well. So my first dream this year, I'm at 3,100 subscribers today, which is great. So we've recently hit 3,000 and this week we've gained another 100. So that's fantastic. But the dream is for me to get to 10. So when I get to 10K, which then opens up.
When is it you can start monetizing? 1,000?
1,000. Yeah. Oh yeah, we're way past monetizing. I mean, monetizing is at 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch time hours.
Yeah.
We're getting 4,000 watch time hours. This is not a boast, but it's a reality. We're getting 4,000 watch time hours.
Does that ever kind of blow your mind though when you see that and just think,
do you know what
we're doing 4,000 hours?
The way that YouTube develops you, so long as you start to understand how it all works, and to understand your kind of community, and to understand what people want to see from your channel. There's no point creating a channel on golf and then going fishing the next day,
exactly.
And then talking about space, and unless the selling point is yourself, on a podcast or something, and you're just talking about a certain subject, then that's different. But to have all these different kind of niches doesn't work. You have to kind of focus on one thing, and for us, that's our family, and that's the focus. Our family. It's our family. It's what we're doing. It's what things are affecting us. What kind of tips have we got for you as parents or whatever? Or if you haven't got parents, we talk about, Zoe talks about budgeting and clothes folding and storage ideas and sustainability and hand-me-down clothes. And I've actually done vlogs about, I'll do a vlog about, we've recently purchased Sky Glass, and I'll be brutally honest about it. And I made a video on that. So, we'll do whatever is happening that week, we'll vlog about it. And if there's a certain subject, the biggest one at the moment was the price of fuel and all that kind of stuff. So we did a vlog about that, and we actually did our homework on it as well. And the scary thing is our bills are going to double unless we do something about it. So that was a big, really worrying. That's really worrying. That. So we'll vlog about that. And the feedback we got from everybody was amazing because they were all worried about the same thing.
Yeah, and you must be like a good
forum, I suppose.
Yeah, a good support network for people that are probably wanting just to hear from other people about this kind of thing.
The best compliment I had was from a woman who is an avid supporter of our channel, and she's in her 60s because of the dynamic, the kind of the diversity of our channel, or the dynamic, or the right, or whatever the right word is,
demographic or whatever.
Demographic, thank you. Are a lot of people that watch our videos are over 50, and that's amazing. So there was one woman that said, I'm at home on my own, and I feel like I'm part of your family, and you make it like that. I feel like I'm part of your family. You always answer my comments back, and I just feel part of a community, of people that are watching. And that was the biggest compliment ever.
That's
because
powerful stuff as well,
Yeah, and you go from being like this person who's creating a channel full of a bit of doubt, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? To suddenly, and it was like flicking a switch. And I remember the point. So we got to a point, and it was over a year ago now. It was the previous Christmas. So it was not Christmas 21, it's Christmas 20. And I got to a point with my channel where I just got to, and you do go through these moments where this is going nowhere. I'm stuck at I was stuck at 800 subscribers. I was getting about 100 views on a video, and I just thought, this is the point where it's I either switch it up or I turn it off.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't want to turn it off. And I thought to myself, right, where are we going wrong here? Where are we going wrong? And we just started to do. So we were doing this, we're making one video a week, and and I just went, I'm just going to make as many videos as I possibly can. And that was the switch for me. And we just started making as many videos as we possibly could. I changed the design of the thumbnails, and I stuck to a certain design now. We always do the same thumbnails. I really kind of went to town on improving. I started doing the transitions. I really started to improve our channel and really started to, I think, take it seriously.
Yeah.
And since then, we've just grown. I mean, we're getting. I mean, the video that Zoe put on, or I put on a couple of nights ago, has got nearly 2,000 views, and that for us is amazing. So we've now gone from getting about 100 views a video, stuck in the doldrums, to gaining 100 subscribers a week, and and getting up to 2,000 views on a video. And I guess my point is, you get out of it what you put in.
Yeah, it's that famous saying that
put one video on a week and expect miracles.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. You have to be selling yourself. You have to be providing what people want to see, and that's the thing. That was the light bulb moment for me. And ever since then, we just do as many videos as we possibly can in the week, and we get them all out, and that's what's really grown our channel. And that's what I'm most proud of, is the fact that we didn't give up, and we just went, no, what are we doing? Right, let's and it's a team effort as well with Zoe, because actually Zoe's vlogs do a lot better than mine, which is great, because she's such a good orator, I suppose. She's really good at talking, and sometimes I get my words mixed up, probably not here because we're having a chat, but when I'm trying to think, I've got like a satellite delay between what my brain's trying to say and what my mouth's saying, normally when I'm trying to think, but with this, you're asking the question, so I can blather on for hours, but no, so it's just it's where we want to take our YouTube now, is to get as many subscribers as possible, but also grow organically, to grow our following, to grow our view count, to grow everything, so we can. And I'm not going to lie, the dream is to be able to do it as a career move as well.
And why not say that? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I want the best for my family.
Yeah, exactly. What is being humble, right? It's downplaying your achievements, isn't it?
I suppose so, but that's a truly British thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just,
I'm really angry, so I'll pace in the corner for 10 minutes.
It's when people talk about how well they're doing, and people instantly go, "Well, I don't like how that person's talking." It's like, well, they're just saying what they've done. You know
exactly.
what I mean? It's like, I guess it's a kind of a bitterness culture in a way with some people, but
I suppose, but I think some people. I mean, I don't know how many YouTube channels succeed. When I mean succeed, I mean go past that 10,000 subscriber threshold where you can start really monetizing.
Yeah, when it just goes to the moon.
I mean, you can start opening a shop then, and that's the dream for me, is to get to 10, so I can start properly advertising these t-shirts and doing everything else that we want to do with our channel. I also want to do memberships, but I'm still a little bit. Am I still too small yet to do memberships? And I don't want to.
Because there's stuff like Patreon and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I don't want to scare people off. I don't want to be too greedy.
Then it kind of feels.
I don't want to come across as being greedy. And then scare people off. I don't want to do that, because we've got such a lovely following that would be such a shame. But I'm trying to think in my head, what could I offer?
There's a balance of keeping it fair for them but fair for you.
Exactly, and I'm trying to think. We're totally honest with our subscribers as well. We are aiming to buy a house and all that kind of stuff. So anything would help. But it's that balance between what do you provide for your members over and above your normal subscribers, and to make it fair as well. So I think the balance that we've thought about is, we've never done a live video. So what I'm thinking about doing is doing lives for the members, and maybe a live for the normal subscribers, but then maybe 2 or 3 lives for the members later on when we're kind of mentally prepared to do it. So because that would be quite a new thing for us. So where do we get to?
Yeah, I think that's probably a good note to end on. We've hour 20 minutes flies, but it actually amazes me. I feel like we've been on for maybe like 10 minutes.
I know.
But it's been a pleasure having you on, mate.
Absolutely, and thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
mate,
no worries at all. I
great.
think you've got a great energy about you, mate. Like, this is the first time that I've met you, and I didn't want to, not because I'm not wanting to be a hater or not a supporter or anything, but I didn't want to go in to view your channel or to view the Facebook and think, oh, this is what Ben's going to be like. That I want it to be quite
organic.
Organic.
I like that. I don't know if you noticed, I like that word, organic.
Yeah. As you've mentioned. I
natural.
I edit these back, and the amount of times I say right is like some kind of verbal comma. I feel like smacking myself in the head. But I appreciate your time, mate, coming down in the cold and all that. It's been the North Pole corridor today.
And the biggest thing for me is, one of the things that I'm an advocate of is, I'm not one of these type of people that if I do get to 300,000 subscribers, I'm not going to snub the guys that are on 5.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, there's this meme that I saw that said every YouTube channel with 1 million subscribers started with a channel of 5.
Yeah,
right.
Every winner was once a beginner.
So true. It's so true. It's unbelievable. And if I can support anybody along the way, and bring them on in whatever they're trying to do, then brilliant.
It's just a great way to be in life as well, bring everyone up.
There's enough internet out there for everybody, so if we can all help each other out in some degree, by, picking each other up on whatever we're doing, then high five.
Nice one. Well, hold you to that when you get to 300,000. You can come back on.
Yeah. Definitely.
Nice one. Cheers, man.